I hate the internet. Oh my god! There are only a few months left for Pokémon X and Y to be out worldwide, and I am one of the many Pokémon fans who are really excited because of all the new stuff they are bringing into the table. The 3D graphics, the new fairy type, Mega Evolutions, and even more! No! Fuck X and Y! They are ruining my childhood! Pokémon should stay exactly the same after 10 years! Ah, you gotta love that Gen Wooner logic. Anyway, so I wanted to make a new countdown about this series in order to celebrate the upcoming release of what will be one of the biggest installments of the entire franchise. So, since the representatives of the Unova region and Generation 5, Pokémon Black and White 1 and 2, are my favorite video games of all time, I decided to choose this original topic. It is known that Unova is highly hated by a lot of Pokefans because of some weird design choices in their Pocket Monsters, like Garbodor or Vanilluxe. But come on, I don't hate those creatures, but even if you do, you have to admit there are some really amazing Pokémon in the Unova region, and I am here to tell you which ones are my favorites, based on their designs, movesets, abilities, and etc. Also, please remember that these are my favorites, not the best, so respect my opinion. In a similar way to my Ghost Pokémon countdown, the entire evolutionary family will be judged, but I will still refer to them just as one for the sake of simplicity. Before we start, I know exactly what you're thinking. It is true that Pokémon is an overdone topic in YouTube, and because of that, many people, including myself, don't like watching or making countdowns about this franchise. But this is an exception, since many people asked me to do this topic, since the Unova games are my #1 favorite, and I really wanted to make a video about it before the release of X and Y. So, because of those reasons and even more, I ask you to bear with me on this one. So, let's not lose any more time. Number 10, I choose you. Oh god, that was so lame. If you are a Dragon type lover like me, then you are right at home in Unova. The 5th generation introduced a good bunch of new Pokémon of this type, especially legendaries. One of these epic creatures is Haxorus and his evolutionary family. Almost everyone trained one of these in the original Black and White. However, I really wanted to have something different in my team, so I decided to capture one of the most overlooked Dragon types ever, and now it's one of my favorite Pokémon in the region. Druddigon is not only an underrated Dragon type, but also one of the most underrated Pokémon ever. And while I can understand why somebody may prefer Haxorus or a Dragon, I decided to train one of these and I never regretted it. While it is not as powerful as other Pokémon of the same type, Druddigon can hold up itself in battle, with solid attack and defense stats, and a decent move pool that includes moves like Outrage, Superpower, Rock Slide, Dragon Claw, or Thunder Punch. If you are looking for a really powerful dragon, then I think you should ignore Druddigon. But if you want a more original choice, then this is a Pokémon for you. And if you train it correctly, it can be a beast in battle. It's true, I managed to train my Druddigon up to level 100 and it's very strong on the battlefield. I am also very fond of its design. Even though its wings look weird, everything else screams badass. To be honest, I really don't have precise reasons for liking Druddigon so much. Everything it does right, other dragons can do it better. But still, I like it a lot for no apparent reason. It's just a Pokémon with a solid design, move pool, and stats. If it had a pre-evolution, an evolution, or a secondary type, it would be much higher on the list. Oh, and the 2 champions of Unova use one, that should be a good thing, right? Galvantula and Joltik are one of those Pokemon with a unique and badass combination of types that you would never expect to see on this franchise. Both Pokemon are back and electric, and as weird as it can sound, this is truly an useful typing for the battlefield. And that is the main reason I like these two so much. But before we get into their battle abilities, let's take a look at their designs. First of all, Joltik, which is considered to be one of the cutest Pokemon of all time, and I have to agree. It's small and fluffy, I just want to hug one. I mean, I am a man and I like cool and badass stuff, like Galvantula, which is a giant tarantula with an electric hair. I also like the color combination of yellow and blue, that looks really well. If you ever want to train a Galvantula, I say you should get one with the ability Compound Ice, which raises the accuracy of a move by a 30%. Combine that with a powerful attack that misses all the time like Thunder, and you got yourself a very powerful Pokemon. Let's not forget that, like most Bug or Electric types, Galvantula is very fast and has a high special attack. Sadly, there is no much variety on the moves it can learn. Most of them are Bug, Poison or Electric attacks, and if it fights against a slow but defensive Pokemon, it is screwed. But despite that, the positives make Galvantula an amazing Bug type Pokemon I recommend to you. The number 8 spot is for the Emboar family, the fire starter of the Unova region. Now, if you want an overhated Pokemon, look no further. You see, this starter line is despised by a lot of people because the final form shares its typing of fire and fighting with Blaziken and Infernape. Yes, that's it. I mean, I also would have preferred Emboar to have another typing, but it still is a very solid Pokemon and you should totally give it a chance. Although I am still praying for Fennekin to not end up as a firefighter as well. The evolutionary process of this family is interesting. Tepig is adorable, Pignite is funny to look at, and then holy shit, we have Emboar, with a complex yet badass design. He's like a giant fire pig sumo wrestler. I just love it. It's just so imposing, and you should be scared if an opponent uses one of these in battle. Speaking of battle, Emboar is really different from other fire starters. Instead of being fast but defenseless, he's more of a bulky Pokemon, with a good defense but low speed. And in a similar way to the other fire starters, it has some good attack and special attack stats, meaning it can get unpredictable if you fight against one. And this is especially true once you see all the different types of move Emboar can learn. Flare Blitz, Hammer Arm, Earthquake, Thunder Punch, Solar Beam, and even Scald, a water type move. However, the only reason Emboar and its evolutionary family are not higher is because some of its most powerful attacks, like Wild Charge, Head Smash or Flare Blitz, are also recoil moves, meaning it will pretty much find itself if you are not careful. Yeah, Emboar can get the ability Reckless to prevent this, but that ability is during World exclusive. At the end, Emboar is an overhated Pokemon that you should totally give a chance. However, it is not my favorite starter of the region. Speaking of which... Haha, god yeah, my favorite starter of Unova won't appear until the number 2 spot. Haha! Oh, fossil Pokemon, you are so fascinating. Almost every fossil Pokemon has an interesting design referencing prehistoric animals, and they are not too shabby on the battlefield either. So you may be thinking that the number 7 spot is for Archeops and Archen. Well, then you would be 100% absolutely WRONG! I am sorry. I like Archeops a lot, but I just think Caracosta and Tirtouga are way better. First of all, their designs are just a little bit more complex and overall cool looking. Come on, you gotta admit you've never seen a giant turtle so badass ever since Blastoise was created. But I digress. You can get a Tirtouga by reviving the cover fossil, and I recommend you get one instead of a plume fossil, since Caracosta can be a beast in battle, even if it's exactly what would you expect from it. It has some extreme defenses and attack, and the moveset is nothing to be impressed about either. It can learn Aqua Tail, Stone Edge, Earthquake and etc. However, if you know what you are doing, you can do a lot with this predictable Pokemon. My recommendation is that you teach Caracosta the move Shell Smash, which will lower his defenses but raises the speed and attacks. This is the main reason I like Caracosta and Tirtouga so much, since it can destroy your enemy's team by using this move. Of course, this can be done with other Pokemon as well, but I tried it first with this one and I think it's the best to use this strategy. So, even if it's kind of a predictable Pokemon, Carracosta deserves this spot, and I think it's the superior fossil Pokemon of the Unova region. Sorry Archeops, I still like you. Let's be honest here, if it was just because of Black and White 1, the legendary Pokemon Kyurem wouldn't be on this list. I mean, it is a great Pokemon with a unique typing of Dragon and Ice, but its design was really weird and it didn't have a role in the amazing story of this game. However, in the sequels he was improved by a mile and now he earned the number 6 spot on my list. Like I said before, Kyurem has a really unique typing that will make it a great opponent for other Dragon types. Of course, as the mascot of Black and White 2, it has a very important role in the plot of those games. Ghetsis, the leader of Team Plasma, captures Kyurem in order to freeze the entire region and, listen to this, he uses the DNA splicers in order to combine him with Reshiram and or Zekrom. That's right, Kyurem is the only Pokemon who is able to fuse itself with other ones, and it's just too badass. The designs of White Kyurem and Black Kyurem are a little bit more complex and complete, and even if its type didn't change, this beast is now able to use some fire and electric moves. In the battlefield, the 3 forms of Kyurem are as powerful as you can expect from a legendary Pokemon, with a solid special attack stat, and you will most likely need another legendary to defeat him. In conclusion, if I had to use one word to describe Kyurem, that would be unique. With an original type combination, creative designs, and the ability to fuse itself with the other 2 main legendaries of the region, Kyurem is a Pokemon worth your time. While this is not my favorite Unova legendary, I still think this is a very cool Pokemon. Recycling a joke? Really? Shame on you, Obsidious fan. You can't have white without black. You can't have yin without yang. You can't have ice cream without a tasty chocolate topping. Huh? Who wrote this shit? And you can't have Reshiram without Zekrom. And vice versa. Yes, the number 5 spot is a tie between the 2 main legendaries of Unova, and with good reason. Legends say that, a long time ago, twin heroes used a powerful dragon to create the Unova region, but they began to argue because they both wanted different things for their lives. The dragon split into 2 parts, Zekrom and Reshiram, in order to show that they both were right, and the empty shells they left when separated later transformed into Kyurem. The mythology of this duo is interesting to say the least, and it just gets better from here. Zekrom and Reshiram are so different yet so similar. The vast white dragon represents Yin and has the unique typing of dragon and fire. It has a very stylish and classy white design. On the other hand, the deep black dragon represents Yang, with the unique typing of dragon and electric, and it has a manlier and badass black design. I really like both Pokemon, so I couldn't decide which one is better, to the point I had a hard time deciding whether to buy Pokemon Black or Pokemon White. Of course, depending on which version you buy, each legendary will have a different role in the story. One will be caught by N, while the other one will be offered to you to catch it and fight the rival. Now, it is important to remember that Zekrom and Reshiram are the only legendary rivals that fight each other in the canon story of the game. And this is improved by the fact that, as legendaries, both are really powerful and hard to take down, with a lot of impressive moves, especially Fusion Bolt and Fusion Flare. Overall, I just had to put the legendary duo on this list. They both have an interesting backstory, original typing, devastating battle abilities, and a lot of symbolism behind them. They may not be my favorite legendaries of all time, but they are pretty high up there. So, good job guys! What is this Pokemon? Deino? I don't get it. It's just an emo lizard. Next! Swayolus? Cool name aside, this is exactly the same as Deino, only with, you know, 2 heads. My guess is that the final evolution will be as dumb as the other one. Holy cannoli, Hydreigon is freaking amazing, best Pokemon ever! Now that I regained my composture back, let me explain why I think the pseudo-legendary Pokemon of Unova, Hydreigon, deserves this high spot on my list. First of all, look at that design! I like Danon Sueolus, I really do, but their designs are just so goofy, while the final evolution looks so menacing. It has a lot of black fur, 2 of its head were transformed into arms, and it overall reminds me of King Ghidorah, and that is always a good thing. Hydreigon and its evolutionary family share the unique typing of Dark Dragon, and while this is not as creative as other Pokemon on this list, I still appreciate the originality. As a pseudo-legendary, Hydreigon is expected to have massive stats, especially the attack, special attack, and speed. It can also learn a lot of moves from different types, such as Fire Blast, Surf, Draco Meteor, Dark Pulse, Focus Blast, and even more. Trust me, this Pokemon has a huge arsenal of amazing attacks. If you see another trainer using a Hydreigon, or even one of its pre-evolutions, you should be scared, even if you hold the strategy to defeat it. It's badass, it's powerful, it's unexpected, and it does everything a pseudo-legendary should be, and even more. I really love this beast of a Pokemon, but it's not higher because of 2 reasons. First of all, like I said before, its pre-evolutions look very goofy, and secondly, it's a pseudo-legendary, and those can be downright broken at times. Remember Getsy's Hydreigon in black and white? At number 3 we have Darmanitan, and on a lower note, Darumaka. This is one of those Pokemon. It may not be as creative or as amazing as other ones on the list, but I just have so much fun when I am using one or when I am fighting against one, and that means it holds a soft spot in my heart. These 2 fire-type Pokemon are very interesting. Not only Darumaka is really cute, while Darmanitan looks badass as hell, but they are both based off Daruma dolls. I said it before and I will say it again. Game Freak really finds some creative ways of making Pokemon. Darmanitan is known for having a special ability that can change it into Zen mode, which is also part Psychic type. Do you want a more physical Darmanitan? Well, then you can train a normal one with its incredibly high attack stat and moves like Hammer Arm, Flare Blitz or Earthquake. You prefer training a special Darmanitan? Then you can switch to Zen mode, teach it Psychic, Flamethrower or Grass Knot in combination of the form's high special attack and you are good to go. Heck, if you're a detailed trainer, you can even find a balance between the 2 stats. The possibilities with Darmanitan are endless. However, as much as I like Zen mode, I say you should skip that ability and train a Darmanitan with the ability Sheer Force, which raises the base power of all attacking moves that have a secondary effect by a 30%, but the secondary effects are ignored. Since this is a fire type and most of its attack can also inflict the burn status to the opponent, you can have a devastating Pokemon that will be hard to take down. Darmanitan and its pre-evolution are some of the best pocket monsters the Unova region has to offer, and I recommend you should train one in the playthroughs of at least one of the games of this generation, since it will be useful at both the main story and at competitive battles. I think there is nothing much to say, except from motherfucking fire eyebrows! If you thought having a fire sumo wrestler pig as a starter was awesome, then you are gonna love this next spot. Well, what about a samurai sea lion that can control water? Oh my god! Indeed, this is one epic starter and we are just beginning. That's right, my favorite starter of the Unova region is none other than the evoluted line of the water starter, Samurott. The family starts off with Oshawott, a little white other with an adorable expression that can use its Skull Chop as a weapon. Then it will evolve into a Dewott, which managed to maintain that cute face but with a badass expression. Oh, and now it can use 2 Skull Chops. But for the final evolution we have something totally different. The badass Samurott, a giant sea lion with an armor made of Skull Chops, and he's even using 2 giant swords. The final evolution looks way too cool, and it holds one of my favorite Pokemon designs in the entire series. This evolutionary family is an exception on this countdown since I love the 3 Pokemon in the same level. Oshawott is one of the most adorable things ever. Dewott is both cute and badass, while Samurott is completely different from its pre-evolutions, with a stylish and epic design. But we don't finish here, oh no, because this trio of water starters can also be very useful in the battlefield. To be honest, Samurott doesn't have any specialties on its stats. This is just a very well made Pokemon with solid attack, special attack and speed. It may not be the most powerful, but it can hold up in battle, with moves like X-Scissor, Aqua Tail, Surf, Ice Beam or Mega Horn. You can make Samurott a Pokemon that will be very good at using both special and physical attacks. And what about Ash's Oshawott in the anime? He just steals the show with a good characterization and one of the most likable personalities in the history of this series. I hope he eventually evolves. I just love this little guy. For a long time, this was my favorite starter of all time, and I trained my Oshawott in black and white from level 5 up to a level 100 Samurott, and it sure helped me a lot in the playthrough of that game. Even if now Torterra is my favorite starter, this one still holds a spot in my heart, with a unique design on its 3 forms and some incredible battle abilities. The evolutionary family of Oshawott are my second favorite Pokemon of the Unova region. But what could be it? Well, let's skip the recap in order to find out. Sandile, Krokorok and Krookodile, everybody! For the number 1 spot, I didn't choose the most creative Pokemon, the most powerful Pokemon, or even the most unexpected one. Now, I just choose the one I have the most fun using, the one that helps me win the most at different types of battles, and the one with my favorite design. The Krookodile family is a must train if you like to use just flat out badass and powerful Pokemon. Sandile, the first one on the line, is a little cute sand crocodile. 10th evolution, Krokorok, is not really impressive. I mean, I like it looks really cool, but it's just so similar to Sandile. Luckily for us, we finally have Krookodile, a giant sand crocodile with an amazing color scheme of red and black, and a smoother yet epic design when compared to its pre-evolutions. Come on, you can't deny that you've never seen something as awesome as this Pokemon. With the original type combination of Ground Dark and an incredible attack stat, you can manage to raise a Krookodile to the point it can end up as a killing machine. Oh, excuse me, a fainting machine. This is Pokemon we are talking about. Even though there is not much variety in the types of moves it can learn, Krookodile does have a sweet arsenal of attacks behind it, including Crunch, Earthquake, Stone Edge or Outrage. I say you train one with the ability Moxie, which raises your attack every time another Pokemon is defeated. Trust me, if you combine that ability with all the incredible moves I just mentioned, you will own a potential sweeper. I really like using Krookodile every time I can. It's just so fun! And how could I forget about Ash's Crocodile in the anime? It started off as a sneaky Sandile with sunglasses that followed the protagonist around, and it even evolved into a Krokorok. When it finally befriended Ash, the protagonist captured it, and it evolved episodes later when fighting Iris in a tournament, thus becoming one of the most powerful Pokemon our hero used in Unova. This was just another reason to like the Krookodile family so much. It's important to clarify, even if it's my favorite Pokemon from my favorite region, Krookodile is not my favorite of all time, but it is right there in the top 5. It's badass, it's powerful, it's really fun to train, and it's useful in battle, and I just love everything about training the Intimidation Pokemon and its pre-evolutions. My Krookodile is now at level 100, and when I use him, it can destroy my opponent's teams. I am Obsidious fan, and let me say this right now. As much as I love Black and White 1 and 2, it seems the Kalos region will be home to even better Pokemon, but only time will tell. Well, see you guys next time.